Today, I'm going to teach you, my friends, how to track forecast accuracy, 4 methods with a full Excel step-by-step tutorial that you can download below this video. My goal is really to help you to improve your forecast accuracy, whatever you have, like forecasting, sales, finance, marketing, production, manufacturing, and make it simple to improve your performance. So why do we need to measure the forecast accuracy? Basically, you cannot improve what you cannot measure. And by measuring, you're going to analyze and learn and improve your performance. This is a positive snowball effect. And by improving your forecast accuracy, you're going to improve the performance of your business, more profitable. You're going to provide a better service for your customer because you will be able to predict more what they are expecting in terms of products, in terms of quantity, in terms of lead time. You're going to order also much less inventory. If you work in supply chain like me for the last 15 years, the better is your forecast, the better you will improve the level of your inventory. And of course, you will also improve your costs because by having a lot of uncertainty, you need to spend a lot of money to face this level of uncertainty. This is not only about profit, this is also having a more sustainable business for us people, because when you have a lot of uncertainty, it's very stressful. You can have a lot of emails, meetings, and firefighting in the day-to-day life. It was very exhausting for me for many years. And also, by having a better forecast, you will minimize the impact on the planet. For example, when I was supply chain director in Australia, when the forecast accuracy was poor, we had to ship our products by plane, which was terrible for the planet, obviously, but also terrible for the profit of the product. So I really encourage you to focus on this KPI if you want to have a more profitable and sustainable business. All right, so now how to measure your forecast accuracy today, 4 steps. The first one, you need to have a forecast. Whatever you're in finance, sales, in a warehouse, you have a retail company, you have a chocolatine or croissant factory, you are a data scientist, or you work for example, a key sales team or key account management team, you want to track the forecast. And I'm very surprised that many people complain about the forecast, but they don't even try to have a forecast today, or they don't have a process for that. So no worries, you have a lot of companies like this. This is not the end of the world. I will just suggest that you check maybe other videos. I also have a full workshop coming to tell you what are the 6 steps to have a forecasting process in place, efficient and simple, from defining your goals to collecting and transforming the data, to choosing the right forecasting model, forecasting new products and baseline, and also measuring and reviewing and adjusting. This is what we're going to talk about today. This is not only about the mathematics. This is having the right method, the right communication, and the right tools in your company. But if you don't have any forecast, keep it simple with statistical forecasts at the beginning. You just need to define what is the level of your forecast, how many products per week or per month are you selling? This is the how many. Then what is the trend? Are you growing? Are you declining by 10, 20%? And what is the seasonality? Do you have any cycle in your forecast that repeat every quarter, every year, for example, for Christmas? With these 3 pillars, you will be able to generate a forecast. If you want to know more about it, check my workshop below and my YouTube videos, okay? So once you have a forecast, you need to define what we call the forecast horizon. Let's say you have this example of a company with multiple forecasts for the month of May. So in May, you had a demand of 1,000 products, okay? 1,000 products, but in January, your forecast for this month of May was 500. Then you readjust to 700, then to 900, then to 1,100. And in the month of May, just before starting the month, that was your forecast. So the question is, which forecast should I compare with my demand? Is it January, February, March, April, or May? That's a really good question. I had this question many times. And my answer, I'm going to give you 2 answers. There is the first one, the good one. The perfect one, I would say, is you should take, if you work, for example, in operations and supply chain, the average supply lead time per item. So let's say you have 90 days lead time. You should compare the forecast from February, because if you change the forecast one day before and you need 3 months to get the products, it won't be very helpful for your supply chain, right? So it will make sense to use the supply chain lead time. But this is very complex. I can tell you, you have multiple suppliers with multiple lead times from 1 day to maybe 6 months. And it's not easy to have a dynamic forecast accuracy, it's going to be very difficult to explain, and you don't only do forecast accuracy for supply chain but also for finance, with marketing, sales. So I recommend, I was s&op manager for 3 years, I recommend to keep it very simple and do like the company is doing. I recommend, for example, if you work per month, to start at least 1 month before. What was your forecast 1 month before the demand happened? And if you already have like an advanced forecast process, I would recommend to maybe use 2 or 3 months before, but I will keep it simple for most of the companies today. Okay, so now you have the forecast, you have the forecast horizon. It's very important to keep data, to keep historical forecast and demand data. Then you can track the accuracy not only today, but in the past, and have a good way to compare if you are improving or not. Because the benchmark in forecast accuracy is not very relevant. It really depends on your products. I'm going to get back to this after. So the good would be to have 1 year of demand and forecast history. The better would be to have 4 years if you can. You should always get the SKU level per product if you are selling or manufacturing products. Also keep the value for family and category. Of course, if you have per SKU, you can consolidate by family and category level. And it's always good to keep the quantity and the value. I'm going to get back to this as well for active and inactive products. If you have, it doesn't make sense for me to track the forecast accuracy for like discontinued products that you are not selling for a while, but you should also as well not have any forecast on that, but it's good to check the status of this product. Okay, so that's the third step. Be very careful with one thing. First, demand is not equal to sales, right? You are this guy going to this store and he wants to have 100 bottles of Coca-Cola, right? Demand 100, sales 0. So if you only compare based on your sales, you will miss, you won't have the real accuracy. So keep it simple. If you have the data, it's great. For example, for manufacturing company, or you will have the orders from your suppliers. If you have a retail company, it's more difficult to get this real demand. So if you have nothing, just keep it simple, start with sales. But if you can track the demand, it will be more accurate for your forecast accuracy. Okay, but it's better to do something than nothing. I see a lot of people, because they don't have the right data, they just do nothing. Tracking a KPI, even if it's not perfect, will be better than not tracking anything at all. Okay, so that was the first one. And the second one, should you track the forecast accuracy in quantity or value? That's a good question as well. And I would say this is the same principle than the ABC analysis. So I recommend that you check my video if it was not the case before. But my answer will be, if you are selling like very cheap products like this one on the left, that costs 5 cents per unit, and you are selling a lot of quantity per month versus selling this super fancy engine that costs $10,000 per unit and you only sell 10 quantity a month, if you track your accuracy per quantity, you won't see any impact on the error and mistakes on these products. So I always recommend, for me, to track in value, because you will combine quantity and multiply by price, and you will balance, and you will also focus your energy on what is generating more value for your company. That's why I recommend value. But if you have very similar price in your company or cost, you could also work in quantity, whatever you prefer. All right, now the next step, you need to choose the right calculation method to track your forecast accuracy. And now we're going to get back to Excel. I recommend that you download this Excel below the video. You have a link, and then you practice with me, because if you don't practice with me, you're going to forget everything I'm going to say just after. Okay, so in this Excel, I'm going to explain to you how it works, and you can also adapt to your company. This is just a very simple example with 10 products from Nike and Adidas. Let's say you are selling these products in your store, or you are a distributor. This is the data from week 33, and I'm comparing with my forecast from previous week. So it could be from previous month, previous week. You can decide what is the best for you and what is your lead time, if you have a lead time, a long or short lead time. So we have the brand, we have the item, we have the forecast, quantity or value. I'm using value. I explained why before. You have the demand, not the sales, the demand. And then what we're going to do, we're going to calculate the error. So the error is just the difference between the forecast and the demand. You can see you can be 0, negative, positive. And then what we're going to do, we're going to do the absolute error. So what is the absolute? It's just this formula ABS, and this will just switch all the negative value to positive. So minus 30 become 30, okay? And then we're going to do the root square of the error. I'm going to explain to you after for the method number 4. We're going to just root square the error. Okay, so then we have multiple methods. We have the bias, the MAP, the MAE, and the RMSE. All right, we're going to start with the bias, and I'm going to explain to you how to calculate. So what is the bias? Is the total of errors divided by the total of demand. So you probably saw this chart when you went to school, when you did your master degree. You have what we call the bias and the NBS and the not accurate and accurate. The bias basically will help you to really understand if you tend to, your team or you are tending to over forecasting overall or under forecasting. For example, you can see in this one, we are tending to over forecast above I would say the average, and in this one we tend to be pessimistic, we tend to be lower. Most of the team and most of the demand planner I know, they tend to over forecast. Just to let you know. And you have this one, they are unbiased. You can see there is a good repetition around the target. There is not like trying to be below or above. This one is not accurate, and this one is much more accurate. Okay, so now how are we going to calculate that? Let's go back to Excel, and the formula is very simple. You're gonna divide the sum of the error, so you go to the error, you do the sum of all my error with the positive and the negative value, because you want to know if you tend to over forecast or not, and you're gonna divide by the demand. So the demand is just the sum of all your demand of the products. If you don't have the demand, use the sales, but it won't be perfect, right? But nothing is perfect and everything is perfect. So then you have this value, 2% means that you tend to over forecast 2% above. This is a good number. Obviously, it will be more relevant with 10,000 products or per demand planner or forecaster to see, okay, if they tend to be too positive, optimistic or not. But this is a very good complementary KPI, but you cannot only track your performance with this one. Then we're going to talk about the MAE, mean absolute error. We can also call it mean absolute deviation. Deviation and error, this is the same, we just use different names. Keep it simple, okay? So MAE, total absolute error divided by total of the demand. How does it work? It's very important to use absolute errors this time. So to calculate that, this is this one. You can see we have 34%. And to do that, what we're gonna do, we're gonna calculate the absolute error. We're gonna do the sum of the absolute error, okay? This one, not this one, but this one, by the total of the demand. And this time we do have 34%. So this is my error, but you can see also, oh, but there is the accuracy. Edouard, what is the difference between error and accuracy? 1 minus error equal accuracy. Okay, so you want, it depends if you want to be positive in your life or not. You can focus on the level of error, 34%. You can say, no, we are 66% accurate. So I like to use the positive one because I think it's good to focus on the positive and not only the negative, especially in supply chain and operations. So you can decide. Companies will use error or accuracy. I prefer to use accuracy myself. Okay, so that was for my MAE or mean absolute deviation as well. This is a very useful KPI, the most common. You can see that I also have my percentage of error and accuracy per product. Okay, so this one is very simple. I recommend to have it and to add also this conditional formatting per color. You just have to divide the absolute error divided by the demand. Okay, by doing that, you will have your percentage of error. Of course, if you have the same value, there is no error. And if you have, for example, this one, you do 30 divided the error divided by the demand, and you have 30% of error or 70% of accuracy. Okay, so I recommend to do that per product, and to have the consolidation. You have this first method called MAE to have it globally, or you can use the MAP, which is a different approach that I'm going to teach you right now. So the MAP is mean absolute percentage error, average of absolute percentage error. What does it mean? Let's go back to Excel. So in Excel, this is this one. You can see we have 39%, and the difference between MAE and MAP is the fact this one, we're going to just do the average of every result per item. So by doing that, you can do like this. You can see I have 39%. You will have the average per item. And I clearly do not recommend to use this method. Why? Because if you have one item which is much more important, let's say item 5, we have a big demand like 9999. boom, you can see that my error is terrible. And because I just do the average, I won't see a significant impact on the total. So if I go back to my map, you can see that I have 46% of error, and if I use my MAE, I have 92%. Why? Because this one we consider the total of the demand, so it will see, hey, you are really bad on one of the most important item number 5, which has much more value than the rest of your items. So at the end, your total error of your business is terrible, right? But if you use the map, you will not ponderate, you will not use the weight of this, so you will just say, oh, you have this one, but it's not a big deal, it's only 10% of your products, right? So that's why we never recommend to use the map. I don't know why they explain this method and why I'm talking about it as well, because we should not talk about this one. This is, for me, not relevant to use this method. Always use the MAE, or if you feel, you can also use the RMSE. If you are a data scientist, let's talk about it right now. So RMSE, root mean square error, it's the root square of the average square errors divided by the average demand. It's quite complex, right? Like, even just to read this and to explain, it's not easy. We're not in doing mathematics. I just want to keep it simple for you. So if we check the formula, we can see that we use the square root of the average of the square error divided by the average of the demand. At the end, we have this result, 40%, which is a value. To be honest, I will not use it unless you work in data science and you do like forecasting, really like strong optimization and machine learning. Why? Because this is not easy to explain first. I was a supply chain director, manager, s&op as well. And it was clearly not easy to explain this to everyone, because you need to find a consensus in your company. And this is, for me, too complex to explain. So you want to keep it simple. The benefit of the RMSU I like is the fact that you're going to do the square of the error. So you're going to amplify the biggest error. So if you have, for example, if I go back to this example, 999, you can see like my accuracy or my error is like 92%, but this one is 280%. And at the end, this method will help you to optimize, to avoid to have huge difference from the reality. So this is good for that, to avoid big outliers, which is useful most of the time in machine learning. When I optimize a model, I will combine this one, MAE and RMSE. But for most of us, like if you have an operation job and you want to track your forecast accuracy, keep it simple. Use the MAE method. This is way good enough, and it will be a good representation of the quality of your forecast. Okay, so we have all of this. We have these methods. I'm going to get back to which one I recommend just after. You can also always recommend to track per item, but also maybe you can combine with ABC analysis, check my video, and also try to have macro forecast accuracy. You can use my method, and you can also use pivot table. You can download my file. If you go to my pivot table here, data, you can find there is a calculated field, and you will see there is a forecast accuracy. If you can check my formula directly into this file. So conclusion, RMSE is for data science and machine learning. This is one of the code I was using to calculate the forecast of Apple revenue. But at the end, what is important? Simplicity, value weighting, and error rating. Simplicity, the first three are very simple. The last one is not. The value weighting is like if you consider the weight of your products, if you sell much more value or quantity, what would be the weighting of all of them? This one doesn't take into account the map. Then you have the error rating, is if you want to amplify the error, and the last one is considering that. My recommendation, this one is complementary. I always use the bias plus another one. I do not recommend the map. I only recommend the MAE, the second one. And this one is, I never use it basically, so never use it as well. And if you do data science and machine learning, you can use this one. All right, so now the next question, how to analyze your forecast accuracy? What is a good forecast accuracy? So I recommend you, this is one of my dashboards for my full method and programs. I recommend you to track your forecast accuracy, not only today, but for many years. And the best benchmark for the best value is to track your historical performance. It's, as I said before, it's very difficult to say, is it 70%, 80%, 40%, 50%? It depends the type of products. It depends on what is your methodology What is the lead time you use? Do you want to check your forecast 1 month before, 5 months before? Depends on your demand planner or forecaster who is responsible for that. It depends also on the uncertainty of your products. And the best way is to compare. Are you progressing? Are you getting better? Maybe you can classify your products. I recommend, for example, to check my tutorial ABC XYZ analysis to classify your products, your baguette, your toilet paper, and your umbrella. And at the end, my goal and your goal, I guess, as well, is really to whatever is your level of uncertainty, is to improve it, to improve your accuracy, to improve your performance, to improve your level of stress, your serenity, and to have more fun at work. So if you want to go further, I'm designing a new 6-step forecasting process with all the tools, method, and communication I'm using for that. You can check below the video. I have free Excel and I have a new workshop coming soon. Have a look, and I wish you an amazing time and a great forecast accuracy.